Good morning, it's Johnny O. It's the Monday Riff. This is after school band practice. I'm here in my sunroom. I'm watching my son. He is crawling around. He is everywhere. This is how you do parenting as a comic who, has a huge following like I do. Just a giant following. I mean, my following is unbelievably big at this point. You got to bring your kids to do the comedy. This isn't distracting at all. You just bring him with me, and he's having a great time. Just kind of get used to it and get over it. Let's start with the jam session. Kids with difficult parents. I was at Panera, and this lady and her daughter were ordering food. The daughter was about 10 years old, maybe a scotch more. Scotch? What do people say? Sometimes people say that word, and I don't know what that is. But anyway, maybe a hair more than 10 years old, 10 or 11 years old. She was pretty mature, and you could tell. As soon as her mother was dealing with the cashier, I realized why this little girl was mature. It's because when you have difficult parents, you mature quicker. Because at first, for a long time, you don't realize you have crazy parents. You just think you have parents. But then, as you go through life, you start to be able to compare. Oh, there's not a fight with every cashier. There's not like a constant battle. A lot of kids don't realize that. They're trying to get justice for every injustice all the time. They don't realize that's weird until they're a certain age. Around this time, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And her mother was arguing with this Filipino cashier basically about inflation. She was basically blaming inflation on this poor teenage cashier. They're forced to mature way earlier than they normally would because they're constantly having anxiety about how nuts and crazy their parents are. Once they realize how crazy their parents are, and they start like covering for them almost. Probably going to write a story about this. I'll detail the story, what happened at Panera. Let's do could be a bit. First of all, I'm a disabled veteran. And I say that word. That's what the government says I am. Basically, I have years and years of intense physical activity paired with virtually zero mobility, stability, and flexibility work. When I think about how that's been neglected over the years, I think that's just, that in and of itself is something so hilarious. I'm lifting since I'm 13 years old. I only learned about like hip flexor stretches when I was like 28. Even then it was like, yeah, just try it every once in a while. I walk like I'm falling down at all times. Like I basically have to flail everywhere I go. I always look like I'm falling down and waddling. So kids bring water to school now. I mean, how hydrated do these kids have to be? Or were we crazy then, or are we crazy now? But we didn't bring water. We weren't even allowed to bring water to school. The only thing we were allowed to bring was like a juice box for lunch. We didn't bring water bottles to school. Like they just didn't hydrate kids, and all day we would go to recess. There was no ever a time where they're like, "Oh, drink plenty of water." Even when it was like a heat advisory, they were like, "Yeah, even though it's 175 degrees in the school, just try your best not to sweat." If it's like in the 90s, they get like a heat advisory, and sometimes they close the classroom or they do like a half day because it's too hot because they don't have air conditioner in these schools. But back then, they were just like, oh, hey, just so you know, today's going to be really hot, so don't move. Also, don't go to the bathroom. You got to retain those fluids. Keep your piss in, because that's the only way you're going to stay hydrated. You had what you had. And if your parents gave you, a glass of milk for dinner, that was all you needed to drink. But these kids have, they bring, a Nalgene and a Camelback, and they take elixir tablets for their electrolytes. They give them fruit breaks. Wild. My nephew's gamer tag is Buttfire 123, and I love that. I haven't been able to stop laughing about this all weekend. So my daughter told me this, and I just think it just warms my heart. Okay, so there are guys who don't mind being naked in the men's locker room. But then there are other guys who are offended when you don't like being that naked. There's guys who will go out of their way to let you know it's okay to be naked. And it's like, dude, I know it's okay to be naked. I've reduced my naked time around other men to a reasonable limit. 30 seconds. You got to change your undies, take a quick shower, you take the towel off, put on your undies. That's it. That's a normal amount. Guys who will like go out of their way just to let you know, like, hey, you know it's okay that you're naked. You can be naked around me. You know, it's no big deal. Yeah, you should just take your pants off right now, actually. I wouldn't mind if you did that, honestly. Hey, you know you should do? Take off your pants. And then we'll all have our pants off and it'll be good. Because they're just like that. I think they want you to be naked. It's a whole culture. And then there's these guys who bare ass on the bench. If you have to sit down to change your underwear, I get it, because I got these bad hips. I gotta sit down to change my unds. But you put a towel down, even still, you limit it. Because like you just don't want the perception that you're bare assing the bench. People sit on this bench. You know, what if they put their shirt there? Then they gotta put the shirt over the head and they got your ass crack in their nose. It's all the old guys. What's going on with baby boomers that it's a culture of being overly naked. Like there's this one guy who gets naked and just walks around with flip-flops. He walks over to the hand dryer and he dries his balls. Blower, the automatic blower, pumps it and just dries his balls off. I mean, I have been naked around men, but not that long and not that intensely. It's like, it's got to be like casual. That's the whole thing. It's like casual nudity. Like, oh yeah, let me just change it real quick. Like, this is very explicit nudity in my gym locker room, and I'm not a fan. Anyway, this is the Monday Morning Riff. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to subscribe. Just make sure you just put the things and leave comments and tell your friends and come on back. Come on back.